Hello, welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to the fact that I have a new desk chair. If you are watching this, you can see that I have just overshot myself on spinning and trying to spin around in this chair and was just not facing the camera at all. Should I just do the podcast like this? Just you look at the back of my head the whole time? Honestly, I'm sure that people have that. I'm sure that exists. I'm sure there's a YouTuber out there who is like fully anonymous or something, and it's literally just videos of the back of their head. I feel like that's a thing. That's got to be a thing. Literally everything is a thing, you know? Like there's so many things out there these days. So, off to a good start. I did get a new chair. Very excited about that. And by get a new chair, I mean I stole it from my brother's room. That's the perks of being the youngest sibling and having all your siblings move out. Not even being youngest. I don't know why I'm even still here, but oops, I am, but hey, I have a new chair, so we are thriving. How are you guys? How's it going? Welcome back to the pod. I'm so happy you're here, and I just hope you are having a lovely day. I hope wherever you are, it is at least, if not warm, you have power, and maybe, hopefully, you are comfortable in your home. I can't even begin to imagine what it's like for everyone right now living in Texas and in other parts where there's just absolutely no power and things are really, really rough right now. If you can, donate to mutual aid funds. I've posted a few on my story and stuff, but I will continue to do that. So on Instagram, I'm posting about it, but also you can just easily probably look up places to donate. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. I didn't expect that I would be saying this right now, but obviously it's very important and I should be saying it. So here you go. Here is your reminder to go and just kind of, I don't know, be aware of what's going on. It's weird because I feel like sometimes if I go a day without my phone or I'm not really on social media that much or something, you know, I feel like I get so like behind, you know, like things are just happening so quickly and so much is happening, like literally so much is happening. Like who would have thought if you told me a week ago, oh yeah, Texas, like the state that is known for being hot, Texas is going to be fully without a power and like iced over and people are going to be just barely surviving. I'd be like, no, no, there's absolutely no way. So I don't know. I feel like this is kind of coming off a little bit insensitive. I really don't mean it to be. It is tough. I do have family in Texas, and we are in close contact. And luckily, things were not great for a little bit, but they are getting better for family. But just donate if you can. If not, share as much information as you possibly can. Just get the word out to hopefully someone who can donate and stuff like that. But I feel like I say almost every time that, oh, I don't want this podcast to be like me talking about COVID or politics or something, because I want to just stay positive and have it be like a moment where you don't have to think about all the negativeness in the world. And then almost every single time I start the podcast out talking about something crazy that's happening in the world. But like I said, literally there's always something happening. So there's always something to talk about, I guess, which I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are warm. I know that it is definitely icy here. A lot of people, it's definitely super icy here. We have had a few ice storms. I think we had like the worst one in like the last 30 years or something recently. And a lot of people lost power. A lot of places had to close. No one's like able to go into work, all that stuff. So it's everywhere. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that here is better than or is like the same as Texas. It's definitely not. But just saying, like, it's definitely, no matter where you are, you probably have some kind of natural disaster happening to you right now. So please just be safe and be careful. And I'm so sorry. I hope you all the best. I hope to manifest for you and grant you just endless amounts of sweaters and blankets and power, electricity, lots of electricity for you. Anyway, enough on that. I don't know. I don't want to be, I feel like I'm kind of out of my wheelhouse. And what even is a wheelhouse? I'm going to look that up. In one's wheelhouse, baseball. within the zone that it is most advantageous for a batter to hit a home run. Oh, so when someone says something is in your wheelhouse, it comes from a baseball. Who knew? Not me. Learning something new every day. Glad that we're learning things about baseball today. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. But hello. Welcome back, of course. I'm looking here at my notes. I've tried to plan this podcast episode for like a few days now, and literally when I was doing it yesterday, all I wrote was, how many times can I listen to Long Story Short by Taylor Swift before I actually start to plan this podcast? Clearly not enough, because I eventually cracked and just I did it. I did it while I was listening to that song, but not much. I feel like when I say plan the podcast, I don't want you guys to think I have like a full-on script, because I want you to know that it's natural and it's kind of a train of thought thing. But I do have some like bullet points of, things I want to talk about, and then just like if I have to reference anything, proper names and whatnot. Last week there was no episode. If you saw that there was one for a hot second, no, you didn't. I was in New York last week, got super caught up, tried to post an episode, but then just, I don't know. I don't know if it was just like it was rushed, but it wasn't the right time. Not the right time, not the right place. So I said, you know what? No episode this week. And that one went away very, very shortly thereafter, and for the best, I think. I need to focus more on quality over quantity, you know what I mean? With the podcast, it's something where you're like, same thing with YouTube and Instagram and whatever. You're like, okay, you have to have a consistent schedule for you in order to like do well and stuff. But I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like I should be putting more effort into doing things that I like, not just doing things because I feel like I have to. That's like when it gets into the territory of me doing things, for someone else instead of myself, So last week's episode was a little bit of a bust, and I'm glad it doesn't exist anymore. So that's that on that. And I just feel like, which is even funny that I'm saying that, because I just like the fact that I'm like, it's quality over quantity. And literally here in my notes, I say, I don't even know what I'm talking about, with like 5 exclamation points. Because to be honest, I don't totally even know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this topic that we're going to talk about today, which is cultivating creativity, which is something I definitely know. I know how to cultivate it, but do I know how to implement it and talk about it and share my knowledge? Not really. Enough. I know it enough to make like a short episode for you guys. So, but I do want to give a little recap for you, since I did miss last week. I was in New York after all. It was so much fun. To give you a little update on that, it was amazing. I went with Reese. We went to stay in his dad's apartment, kind of like house sitting, I guess, if you want to put it that way. It would like I said in the podcast before, like it wasn't really like a vacation. It was more of like a let's go and stay here for a little bit and just like live our life here. My hair looks so weird. It's been back all day. I just like look bad today. I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder and I don't like what I see. What's up? What is up, Olivia? Why do you look like this? I don't know. I need to like not care. I really hope that all of you who are looking at this or listening to this or whatever are just listening to it like on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, because your girl looks kind of cracked and it's not a cute look. I don't know. My hair has been back all day. It was like one of those days where I didn't shampoo my hair, but I did shower, but whatever. I don't need to explain my shower habits to you. But anyway, so New York, it was amazing. I went with Reese. We stayed in his dad's apartment, which is so nice, and it was just like so wonderful. Hospitality unmatched. Huge thank you to Reese's dad for allowing us to stay there. It was just like, I mean, and I said this before, I think, but if it was a game of house, like if we were playing house, it's my new favorite game ever. Like I loved every second. Being there with Reese was really fun. It was just really nice to like work side by side. Like that's something we haven't really done before, and it just felt very adult and very grown up. And I just liked it. I don't know. It just felt really comfortable. It's like the second that we got there, it just felt normal. Like it felt like, oh, this is, yeah, like there's no like adjustment period. For some reason it just felt right, you know? Like I like there were no problems. Like I know, I mean, it's not like we like moved in together. It was literally just a week, so we like, I feel like subconsciously knew it was just a week, you know? So even though we didn't have like vacation hats on, it was still like, let's not mess this up. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't consciously thinking that, but I'm just saying like that's possible that was a thing. I mean, I don't even know. I think that also maybe I just have a good relationship, and Reese is a really stand-up guy, so it's good. It's good, and he's a good human, and he is very kind and caring and loving and all that stuff. So I mean, whatever. Again, don't need to tell you the like explicit details of my relationship, but I just, yeah, it was really fun to just be there with him and act like real life adults. And the thing is, I just feel like the second that I got there, I was just like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be. Time to thrive. I've lived in New York before, and it's just my absolute favorite place. It's like funny to me that when I had my job, right out of college, I had a job kind of like still while the last few months of school, and then like through the summer, I had a job, and I was fully prepared to move to LA. Like I was fully ready to move to LA. That was the plan, because I was like, okay, I have this job, let's go. But then obviously pandemic, it's just so funny to me that we all thought that like, oh, well, it's probably going to clear up in like a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. And then like, here we are a year later, and it's like, oh, still in quarantine. Yeah, same. But yeah, it's just funny that I was so ready to go to LA. And I even tried to like convince myself, because I applied to so many jobs, like hundreds of jobs. I'm not kidding you. And the only job I heard back from was this job that I actually got. And it was in LA. And I applied to pretty much all jobs in New York or on the East Coast. And then one job in LA. And it was this one. And I was like, oh, it's a sign. Like, it's totally a sign. Like, I'm meant to be in LA, even though I only went there once and I hated it. And I've literally heard nothing but like bad things about LA. I was like, it's a sign. I'm totally meant for LA. Like, sunshine. It's me. Like, I'm so rainbow colorful, girl, whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying, but that's me. And that's so LA. And that's like, whoever thought I'd be good for New York? Not me, but like literally me my entire life being like, I want to be in New York. I want to go to New York. And the thing is, like, going back to New York this past week, I was just like, whoa, yep, this is it. This is where I am supposed to be. This is where I want to be. And I'm feeling good. And I don't know, it felt right. Everything just like feels right in New York. Like, obviously when I first got there, I like took me like 5 seconds to kind of like redirect myself and like figure out like how the city worked and stuff like that. But you know, like the first time that I took the subway, I like got a new little metro card, and then just like immediately like knew what I was doing, knew where to go. Like obviously navigating the subway isn't that hard. It's not rocket science, but it just like felt good to like be back in my element. You know, I was like, it's been 2 years. And I'm here, and this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Like, the idea of me moving to LA was literally just a weird glitch, some weird blip on the radar, and this is totally where I'm meant to be. I mean, I don't totally know if everything happens for a reason. I know I've said that so many times, and I know that I've said that everything does in fact happen for a reason so many times, and I kind of am going back on that. I'm going back and forth with it, but I think like, kind of think it does. I kind of think it does. Not saying that like COVID happened for a reason, or you know, really like tragic deaths or like so anything just dramatic happens for, I don't know. I don't know, so don't quote me on that, but I feel like me getting that job, and then like COVID preventing me from going, and then like I was gonna move to LA with like one of my friends. We're going to live together. And then she decided to live with someone else. And I was like, oh no, how could this happen to me? And then like I stopped working at that job. And then I'm just thinking a lot lately about things like that, things that are like in the moment I was like, oh, why is this happening? Like offended or like hurt that my friend didn't want to live with me. And then I'm like, I'm not going to LA. Like I would literally never go to LA. Like, it's interesting how in the moment you feel so like strongly about something, and then like a little bit down the road, whether it's like a few days or a few months or years or whatever, like you look back on that and you're like, oh yeah, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. And if that hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't be here today, and I like where I am today. I mean, granted, you're not always going to like where you are today, in that moment, but eventually you will. And it's like good to know in those down moments that you can be able to look forward to the times when you're like, you know what, one day I'm going to thank myself for this, or one day I'm going to look back on this and think about how much I wanted to be where I am right now. I feel like that's a quote that everyone is saying lately, and like, remember when you wanted what you have now, or something like that. I don't know, but this is literally such a tangent. I'm kind of like rambling today, but I don't know. I've got my little spinny chair. I'm spinning back and forth, and I'm just like feeling vibey. I haven't really done a podcast in a while. It's been like 2 weeks or something. So like alone here in my room, and I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good about it, and I'm just feeling excited about it. I don't know. It's just easy to talk to myself, especially in quarantine. I mean, I'm not seeing anyone, and like since coming home from New York, I got a COVID test like the second that I got home, but I didn't get a rapid test, so I've literally just been exiled to my room until I got my results back, which was today. So negative. Heyo, awesome. But so yeah, like I've literally just had a lot of alone time since coming back from New York, but whatever. Anyway, back to the whole New York thing. It just is so exciting because I feel like just even being there for just 1 week, I was making so many connections and meeting people, and I wasn't really meeting that many people because again, COVID, but I just feel like although New York is so huge and there's like bazillions of people there, it's also just it's so small. It is so small at the same time. Like, it's just crazy how every single person knows every single person, and there's always a way to like make a connection or meet someone and like foster a relationship. I'm just like so excited about the idea of that. I had 2 really good experiences when I was in New York. The first one was when I was going to meet up with my old boss, Jamie, shout out, love you. And she was helping out a friend at one of her stores, and it was just so great because like just the energy of being surrounded by like professionals and just empowered women. I don't know. I was like, wow, this is a really good environment. Just talking to Jamie and some of the other people that she was working with at the time, like just talking with them, getting advice from them, and just, I don't know. I feel like there was a really good energy that was kind of like drawing me more into New York. That's like so vague and like probably just doesn't mean anything to you, but I don't know. I just feel like it's just all about like creating good relationships and like making friends everywhere you go and meeting people everywhere you go, and just like knowing that there's always going to be a connection somewhere, whether it's a connection to get you a job or like get you a couch to sleep on, or who knows what, a lunch date, I don't know, something. Like there's always something, and I just feel like that was really cool. Like that was the first time like since being in New York this past week that I kind of got out and like saw someone else, obviously masked up, distanced, whatever. But it was just like, it was really good. It was just like, I felt like I was back in my element, And then the second time I did a photo shoot with some people at the company Patches and Pins. If you guys have heard of them, you definitely should check them out. I've posted some photos of them on my Instagram. And they also own a boutique called Mulberry and Grand, and we did a photo shoot. I was going to be doing some little sponsored like sponsored content creation for patches and pins. And then when they saw that I was in New York, they were like, hey, do you want to do like a photo shoot? And I was like, yeah. And so once I like sussed out the situation, realized I wasn't going to be mass murdered. Can one person be mass murdered? No, not really. I don't know. Listen, this is why I can't listen to like true crime stuff. Like, young women who listen to like true crime podcasts and watch true crime documentaries, I'm like, why? You are almost always, with the exception of what, like Jeffrey Dahmer, wasn't he like gay or something? I don't know. I don't know. But like, I feel like they're almost more often than not, it is like young female alone. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know how you guys do it. I'm too scared to listen to that stuff. And so even though I don't even listen to it, that's always my first thought is like, okay, am I going to get kidnapped or murdered? Possibly. But once I kind of figure it out, get all the details, I'm like, okay, I felt comfortable. So I went, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. The team of people that I worked with were so nice. Like, the whole thing about New Yorkers being like rough and stern and rude I just feel like that's like not true in a certain sense. The thing is, the people that I feel like are rude are the people that are driving cars that literally just use their horn instead of a blinker, and the people that work service jobs. And I think here's the thing, the people who work service jobs, the only reason why they're mean is because people are mean to them. They, like, it's not them. Like, I'm obviously nothing but nice. Like, I would never like just be like, oh, I'm in New York, so now I can be rude to people. God, no, I would never do that. But it's just like, I would go into like Dwayne Reed and be like, hi, how are you? Like, have a great day. And they just like wouldn't respond to a single thing I was saying. And I'm like, okay. And I get it. Sometimes maybe there's a chance that they didn't hear me because like masks, and maybe they can't like, you can't like see that I'm speaking because masks and stuff. So you never know. And I'm going to give these people the benefit of the doubt, obviously, because why not? Why would you not, just like treat people with kindness everywhere you go? So obviously, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like the people that I've worked with, like Jamie and meeting her friends at the store, they were so nice and so helpful and just like inspiring. And I loved talking to them. And then when I worked with the people from Patches and Pins, they were just like incredible, like such good energy, so like positive and fun, and like I made a friend out of that day, like the girl that was there on set, we could say, it makes it sound so official, on set with me that day. She was so nice and so kind, and it's just like, even if you don't follow up on it, like even if I never followed up on it or she never followed up on it, just like the act of extending out the olive branch of being like, oh my gosh, yes, next time you're in New York, like text me, we can like get drinks or something, like just doing stuff like that is just like so nice. I feel like, just because now when I go back to the city, whether it is like with Reese again or alone or I don't know, roommates or something, I don't know what to expect next time I plan to go to New York. Hopefully that'll be when I go permanently and move there, but you know what I'm saying? Next time I go now, I feel like I have at least one person in my corner, who, if I need to, I could reach out to. I just feel like if you can, like, reach out to people, you know what I mean? Like, if you ever are, like, meeting someone new, I just think it's a really nice thing to do. And I think it's just really helpful for someone if they're like new to a city or whatever, just be that like kind person that you can lean on. And like almost like 110% of the time, out of 110% of the time, they're not going to reach out to you, like, just being honest. I mean, like, most likely, I feel like I've given my number to so many. It was like freshman year of college, you're like, oh my gosh, like, yes, friends, like, I've known you for 30 seconds and you're my best friend, like, here's my number. And then you like talk once. I don't know. I'm not trying to discount my relationship with this newfound friend, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I feel like it's a really generous and kind thing to do. And I don't know, they treated me so nicely. Like, we got lunch and Starbucks, and like, I just felt really comfortable and really good. And just like, I feel like it just changed my mind about the way that the world views New Yorkers. You know what I'm saying? That's like this whole roundabout when I was talking about like service workers and whatever before. But it was so nice. It was so fun. And now I also have Instagram content for like the rest of my life. So thank you guys. But yeah, I think just creating like lasting relationships, just from these two, sorry, I'm like stumbling over my words, but from these two like positive interactions, these were the only two interactions that I had with people other than Reese, because COVID and stuff. I wasn't like planning on seeing anyone really. But like just from those two interactions, I've already had so many doors open. I have like potential job opportunities and just like things that in the last like year basically that I've been living at home, I've been applying to so many jobs in New York, and I've just been absolutely ghosted by companies. Whereas I go to New York for 1 week and I have all these people being like, yes, 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 here, me, come, yes, work with me, live with me, do this, you know? Like, I just feel like being present in that city just fostered so many new opportunities for me, which I'm so excited for. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, which is like the creative energy that I felt in New York and how like that kind of just like transfers over to my daily life, I guess. Yeah, and I know we're already like halfway through the podcast and I haven't even talked about it yet, but that's the topic for today. Just in that week there, I felt so crazy inspired. I just felt like I could do anything, you know? There's just like limitless opportunities and so many things to do and places to go and people to see. And I didn't really do any of those because of COVID. I was pretty much inside a lot of the time because of COVID. But your girl's negative, so we're good. But it's still, even just being there felt like I had this newfound like energy of creativity, because granted, I've said this so many times on this podcast when I've talked about like moving out and living at home and stuff like that. I'm really lucky to have a space where I can be fully creative and myself and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm being held back here at all. And I love my home and I love my parents and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. However, it's just like, it felt like for the first time in the last year, I could finally like spread my wings, you know what I mean? Like I could finally not like be myself, because again, I'm fully myself here, but I don't know. It felt like I was there and I was like, okay, the life that was put on hold because of COVID it's happening now. Like it's really happening now. And then I had to come home. And then literally the second that I arrived home, it just felt like that creative energy was just cut off. Like I literally spent like 4 days trying to edit one video and I just like couldn't even figure it out, and I didn't want to do it, and I was not motivated, and I was like sleeping in and staying up super late, and I just like I didn't have that mojo anymore, you know, that New York mojo, which was a bummer because I was feeling so good in New York, so I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how I can cultivate that creative energy anywhere I am, you know? And so that is what I want to talk about with you right now. So I just feel like, for starters, something that's really good when you're trying to cultivate creative energy. I feel like I keep saying that, but that's what the title is called. Okay. So when I feel like if you're trying to do that, definitely like having a space is really important, like having a creative space where you can feel free to express yourself. And I know that's obviously easier said than done. Not a lot of people are in a space. Maybe you're like in high school and you're living with your parents still, or oh my God, you're me and you graduated and you're just living with your parents still. Oops. But, you know, like I think it's just as long as you can like create a space that for you is like inspiring. Like for me, my room is a lot is going on all the time, but it is really my favorite place ever. Like I just feel really comfortable here, and I feel like I can do so much here, and it's really like my space. And that's the thing. I'm like, even though I'm like, oh, I'm going to be moving hopefully in like X amount of months and stuff like that. Like I have always made it a priority to, no matter where I am, like even if when I was like studying abroad and was living in a place for 3 months, I would always decorate my room fully. Like no matter the length of time, it has to just be me. It has to be a space where like I feel comfortable just existing, and maybe that's just coming from like a creative person. Like sometimes I'll go to like someone else's house and they will have like nothing on the walls, or like a very minimalist style. Minimalists, I don't really understand. Like I want to be a minimalist, but no, I don't. What am I saying? Ew. No hate against minimalists or people who have like a simplest, that not simple, more basic, not, what am I even saying? Simplified aesthetic and just like more reserved aesthetic. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes like a really clean, like really crisp room can be, I'm like, ooh, let me spend some time in there. But like, sometimes it just feels cold and dark and I like I don't know, I feel like I need my space to be like fully my own, like I feel like if I go to a friend's house and their entire house is just so minimalistic, I'm like, how do you exist here? How do you exist here? Like, what? Like, where's your stuff? What are you doing? Like, where's your art and your color and like your messy countertops? And don't get me wrong, I'm not like a dirty, messy person. I can be like disorderly sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, my room will be a mess often, but it's not like that. Not that what I mean, but I don't know. I'm just kind of like, sometimes you need that like chaos in order to feel inspired. And I know that not a lot of people are like that, but just, I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't want to like come down on anyone's interior design aesthetics. I also literally don't care what your house looks like. So if you're cool, then I'll hang out with you. I don't care about your house, but I do a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I just feel like creating a space, no matter how long you're there. I mean, I'm not saying like an overnight in a hotel, like bring traveling art with you, but what was that? I'm scared to turn around. I'm really going to hope that whatever that weird noise was on my balcony is ice falling off of the roof, but it very well could be an intruder. I have a fear. Why am I even going to go into this? Because again, it's a true crime. Like, I feel like if I say this, that's the thing with my platform being so public and everything being out there, I'm like, someone could figure out where I live and murder me. Like, please don't. Well, not me. I can't put that out into the universe. I can't. I refuse to speak that until it's true. Like, that's not going to be, no, that's not happening. That's not happening. Anyway, okay, back to cultivating creative energy. And something that I recently kind of discovered, and by recently I mean yesterday, is that I can't keep equating productivity to my mood. Okay, which sounds a little backwards. Maybe equating isn't the right word, but like so often I will have a day where I'm like feeling fine, doing whatever, feeling fine, being okay with not being super productive. And then I'll remember that I'm not being super productive and I will like get on myself and be angry at myself, and I'll be like, oh, it was such a bad day. Or I'll be like, oh, it was a bad day. I didn't get a lot done. Oh, I don't know. Today was like a 2 out of a 10. I didn't get a lot done. Whereas sometimes, like yesterday when I learned this awesome fact, I didn't do anything because I was still in this weird, like, post New York funk of not wanting to do anything. So I didn't do anything. But at the same time, I was like weirdly hyper all day. I was just enjoying my own company and I was like just bebopping around, having a good time, So while I didn't get anything productive done, I had a great day because my mood was just great all day. And the second that I was talking about it and I was kind of reflecting on my day and I was like, oh, well, I didn't get that much done, like blah, blah, blah. I was going to be like, what a waste of a day. But that's literally just like not a thing. That's not a thing. I mean, obviously, maybe if you're like at your job and you have things you absolutely have to do, you know, maybe be like, oh, a little bit down on yourself for not like doing your job. I don't know. I'm unemployed. What would I know, you know? But I just think that like, I don't know, it's easier said than done. Like literally everything I ever preach is easier said than done, but just not having your mood and your general well-being be based off of productivity, because it's just not, and there's no reason why it should be. Obviously, yeah, sure, if you get a lot done, that's good to feel good about it. But what I'm trying to say is just don't feel down on yourself if you don't get a lot done, because that's okay. And just like know that it's okay to fail and it's okay to make mistakes. And like, especially if in doing something creative or kind of like trying to get into the zone, like maybe you're going through some kind of like writer's block or some kind of just creative block or anything. Like if you're like me, you come home from New York and you're like, what am I doing with my life? And you have a mini existential crisis and then just procrastinate until you ultimately have to record the podcast. And here we are. But you know what? I think it's just, the thing is like, it always passes. The writer's block will pass. Your inspiration will strike again. And it's important to just constantly step out of your comfort zone. You know, if you're trying to get back into that zone of feeling creative and having that right energy, then you just have to challenge yourself and step out of your comfort zone and do things that might seem a little bit scary, might seem a little bit weird, but you just have to like run through it. You know, you have to kind of push yourself and just be like, just try a whole bunch of new things. I was doing a little bit of research for this, and by this I literally mean I decided I wanted to do an episode on cultivating creativity, and then I was like, you know what, should I like Google what that is? I was like, should I look up what that is? Because what if I'm just so far off and just wrong about everything? So I did that, and like the second thing that came up was this guy's book about it's like literally a book about teaching children how to be creative. What is it called? It's a book called Lifelong Kindergarten by Mitchell Resnick, I believe. And it is, I feel like, kind of still like reading this excerpt and reading a little bit about it, it seems like it's something that is necessary for adults as well. Because the thing is, I think something that we have to realize is that even if you are an adult, even if you are in a job that is very adulty, maybe you're like a accountant, but a real accountant, maybe you're like a real accountant and or like a lawyer or like a surgeon or a judge. I don't know, what are like really serious jobs? I don't know. But as you can tell, I'm literally not going into any of those fields, but like maybe, I don't know, it's like there's no need to fully grow up. I've talked about this before. I literally stand by this, and I know what you're thinking. If you're an adult, as in you're not in your 20s or you've had a lot of life lived and you have a lot of experience, you might look at me and say, oh my God, Olivia, I'm going to roll my eyes and disagree with you because I'm an adult. You'll grow up and you'll grow out of this phase. Well, here's what I have to say to that. Adults, which I also doubt that there's any adults watching this. Let's look at my analytics and see like what the age range of people who listen to this are. Just because I'm curious. I never look at stuff like this. I feel like I should, but I just don't. 7% is 0 to 17 years old. 46% is 18 to 22 year olds. 35% is 23 to 27 year olds. 7% is 28 to 34 year olds. 2% is 35 to 44 year olds. 2% is 45 to 59 year olds. And 1% is 60 plus. Who are you 60 plus year olds? Show yourself. Let's hang out. I would love some advice. You know, that would be a good episode to have like a someone who's kind of in my same field, but we don't really talk about career. We don't really talk about a specific field, a specific career, but someone who is like not related to me, so totally unbiased, but someone who's like in their 60s, like giving life advice, and we just chat. Ooh, if anyone has any 60-year-old friends, hit me up because I want to do that. I think that would be a really good idea. Just getting advice from someone who's like actually lived through everything. Like as I'm saying that, literally right as I'm like, people who are older trying to give advice, hush up, listen to me. But actually listen to me. What I was saying before, when I was saying that if you're older, you're probably rolling your eyes at me right now. But I think that it's so important to never let go of your childlike sense of wonder. It's so important. And I think that like this book is called Lifelong Kindergarten. So I think it like the lifelong makes me think it has something to do with like bringing these habits and teachings into your adult life. I have no idea. I literally have just read this one excerpt, which I'm going to share with you in a minute, but we're not there yet. I just think that it's really important to, even if you are in a really serious role, even if you are in a very like, I don't know, you're an adult and you're working, and there's just none of that. There's no use. There's no use in like letting go of your childlike sense of wonder. There's no like, it does nothing but harm you. Don't you want to live longer? Don't you want to have like love and just life in your heart? That like, think about if you think about children, if you think about human beings. I recently heard this somewhere. I honestly don't remember, but I heard someone talking about this, and they were saying how children are born, like right when a child is born, they are their own person. They're their own person, and like they have the power to be their own person, obviously. But like for your whole life, you are whomever you want to be. On the inside, it's just your brain in there, and it's just your heart in there. And obviously you're going to grow up and you're going to have parents, or whatever your family dynamic is. You're going to have mentors and people who are guiding you through life that are going to have impacts on you, but you have to remind yourself and know that like you are an individual human being, and the way that you carry yourself and hold yourself should have nothing to do with those people. Bear with me. Obviously, it should have something to do with people. I'm very grateful for the way that I was raised, and my parents and my family and just my upbringing in general. Very grateful for that. I love that. But what I'm getting at, and what I believe this person was talking about, is just that like every single person is their own individual, and they can choose to be whomever they want to be. They can choose what kind of life they want to lead, and that like we are all our own person, and that like the way you act, the way you dress, the way you just carry yourself and live your life is often just a result of conditioning, and just a result of how you were raised and the environment you grew up in, which is obvious. Like, you guys know this stuff. This isn't anything new, but I just think that it's really interesting that you can decide to be whomever you want to be. And I definitely talked about this in the last podcast, because I listened to my last podcast yesterday because I was trying to get inspiration for this podcast. But I feel like we need to remind ourselves that we put so much pressure on ourselves to be a certain way because we have a certain job, or because we were raised a certain way. But like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try new things. It's okay to quit your job. Like, it's okay to break up and move on. It's okay to like get a divorce. I know this sounds dramatic, but like, you have to do stuff for you. Like, I don't know why we are still living in a world where it's just every decision we make is just to benefit other people. What? Like, you would think that like we would have a little bit more compassion and love for ourselves, since like we know that this is our only body. This is our only chance at life, you know? So like, why would you waste that? I did see a TikTok about a girl who was getting it was something like she was getting advice from people or something. You know what? I'm going to find it right now, and I'm going to put it in here. Okay, listen to this.
I I just received the most eye-opening email. I've been collecting advice from older people about what they wish they would have known when they were younger, and you have to listen to this one. 1 year into being a lawyer, I knew with 100% certainty that I hated being a lawyer. I went to my friends and family, and they all told me the same thing. You just spent 8 years going to school to become a lawyer. It would be so stupid to quit now. So I didn't quit. I spent over 50 years practicing law. 50 miserable years. It could have only been one miserable year, but I made it 50. My advice, don't continue to do something that makes you unhappy just because you've invested time into it.
Like, right? Right? I went to school for 4 years and did fashion marketing, and I loved it. I loved my major, I loved my professors, and I loved SCAD and everything like that. But now I'm out in the world and I realize I kind of hate social media and I don't really want to do fashion marketing. That's okay. Just because I got a degree in it doesn't mean that's what I have to stick with. I learned a lot, and a lot of those skills I can incorporate into different career opportunities and stuff like that. I don't regret my decision to do fashion marketing, but it's just interesting that we are just structured and like built just in America in general just to like grow up, go to school again, go to school again, go to school again, get a job, decide at like 18 what you want to do for the rest of your life, and then do that and stick with it just because someone tells you to, just because you feel like you have to. I just feels like there's so much more life to live. And I know obviously you can't just like, it is so incredibly like, just, it sounds so kind of ignorant and dumb for me to be like, just quit your job and go backpack through the Maldives. Can you backpack through the Maldives? I don't know anything about the Maldives. Isn't that like the one that's literally just like islands? Maybe don't backpack through there unless you are a mermaid. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously that's not what I'm trying to get at here, but I'm just saying, do things that make you happy. There's no reason why you shouldn't flood your house with art, and ugly art too. There's no reason you shouldn't be making ugly art and make your own pizza night and getting messy and trudging mud through your house. Like, a little dirt's not going to hurt someone, you know? Like, an ugly piece of art, like, if it makes someone uncomfortable, good. That is the person you're trying to make uncomfortable. You need to have people be uncomfortable and look at that and question their own sense of self and see art in a new way. And I don't know, we're humans. We're okay. It's okay to mess up, and it's okay to do weird things and be weird and act weird and be impulsive and act on the instinct of our own bodies and souls and just creative beings. I mean, I don't want to sound crazy, but I feel like I'm kind of onto something here. And I think something that would be, why am I in an accent right now? What is happening? I think something that would be interesting would be, as I'm like saying these words of advice and I'm like going on and being like, this is so important, listen to me, blah, blah, blah. Like, it'll be interesting to go back and listen to my old podcast episodes like 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. I need to be better about saving my files and backing things up for this reason, just because I feel like one day, like, YouTube or something is all of a sudden just going to be like, we're selling our company to XYZ company and they are deciding to take all your videos and delete everyone's channels. Dude, I have no idea, but it might happen. So I feel like I want to just save my things so when I'm old, I can look at them and be like, oh yeah, that girl was crazy. What was she talking about? She thought she knew everything. Which, whatever, who cares? Maybe I do think I know everything. I know literally nothing. I know so close to nothing. But I just feel good about knowing nothing, you know? I feel good about making these mistakes and going all in and just like leading with my heart. You know, I feel good about being super empathetic to every person I see. I feel good about just like flooding my space with color. And even if it looks childish, like, the thing is, we need to stop caring about what we think others think about us, because most of the time, others aren't even thinking those things about us. Like, you have to, the judgment that we have when we think other people are judging us, it's literally just us judging ourselves based off of what we think others are judging us, but it's literally just us judging ourselves, if that makes any sense. I feel like it does. But again, what do I know? And it's like you just have to just blah 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 blah. I don't know. I don't know. Let me read you these things that I learned from this book. Again, that is Mitchell Resnick's book called Lifelong Kindergarten. Don't know if it's for teaching children or teaching adults how to be kindergartners. I don't know. But there is this part in it called the creative learning spiral, which I thought was super interesting. And it's basically just like, I don't know if it's like a theory or just like a way of learning or way of like creating, but it's something that is just like a way to kind of express your creative side and your energy and all that stuff and kind of cultivate it, if you will. So it is 5 steps. It is imagine, create, play, share, and reflect. And then it's a spiral. So then after reflect, it's imagine, play. You know, it goes in a spiral. It just keeps going. But so like, you start off with imagination and you just are sparking ideas and thinking of the impossible and thinking as like vastly and widely as you can. You know, you want to create something, but you don't know what. I feel like this is also a really good way to, speaking of like writer's block or something, or like any kind of creative block, like this is a really good way to help you with that. So just sparking ideas and just like going as far as you can with your brain and your creative energy and just like thinking it, writing these things down, like just getting the thoughts out there and then creating it, allowing your imagination to become like a physical form. Literally use every single medium possible, everything, whether you're writing or filming or painting or using clay. I mean, I know this is when I say creative energy and like whatever, I feel like when I say energy, people are like, yo, what kind of what kind of hippy dippy shit are you on? I'm on some good shit, okay? I don't know what it is, but it's good. But it's just when I speak of like creativity, it sounds like it's just like an art perspective, but it can really be anything. It can be anything. It can be like if you are, again, a writer, or like you're just not feeling motivated at work, like literally anything. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm feeling a creative block, let me go make a sculpture. Like, I'm not very good at sculptures, but that's the thing. It doesn't have to be good. I don't know. Okay, I need to stop going on so many rants. I feel like people are going to listen to this podcast and be like, why does this exist? They probably aren't even listening at this point if they're thinking that. But anyway, so yeah, just allow yourself to make whatever comes to mind. And I think also, and then this goes into the next one, which is play. And that's just all about the process over the product. So, and this is like, if you're not feeling like you want to do like art or something, or you're feeling creative in a different way, something that I find so helpful is like moving your body. Even if you're dancing, or if you're like just being like doing like going on a run. I don't like that, but you know, if that's for you, that's for you. But just like really feeling this like creative spark in all different ways, like just moving your body, shaking it all out, you know, or like cooking something, just like whatever way you feel like you can tangibly get these ideas out. It's about just like freeing judgment from yourself and like appreciating and exploring the process. Right on. And then sharing, collaborate, talk about your ideas, communicate with others, get the word out there, and like just make others interested in what you have to share. I mean, not make them. I don't know what I'm saying. Just let it be known that you're doing something that you want others to know about, I guess. I don't know. But just like collaborate and work with a community. And also because just collaboration is so insanely powerful, because so much of the time you have an amazing idea, but you're right on the cusp of it, but you can't really grasp it all the way, and then someone will come around and be like, oh, you should do this, and you're like, yes, that's exactly what I needed, and then you can like hug and go get dinner or something. And then lastly, in the creative learning spiral, you have to reflect. Just take a step back and see what's happening with what you've done before you start to do it again, and you like jump into a new project, like really reflect on the process and how you were feeling and everything you were going through in the time, and maybe then it'll be easier the next time around. Maybe you won't go through that block again. Maybe you'll have new ways where you find what like works for you and stuff. I don't really know, but I think just obviously, I know I talk about this a lot, but journaling is really helpful for me. I love journaling. It's also, not only is it a way to just kind of like make my brain into a steel trap, it is like, it's just a really relaxing way to kind of like unwind and like get out all of my thoughts after I've done a project or an activity or something like that. You know what I mean? And just really, really reflect. So, yeah. This episode has been all over the place, but that's kind of the fun of it, right? That's why I love this podcast, because, and I feel like, I'm not going to lie to you, even just in doing, I think this is my like 20 something episode. But even just like 20 or so episodes in, I have gotten so much better at it. Like even though like literally every week, and like the day before I'm supposed to post it, I'm like, what do I want to talk about? Like, what is the topic? I don't even know, but I always come up with something. And like, it's just feels good to talk into the microphone and talk to the camera and just like get it all out there. And it might be rambly, but like, I don't care. I don't have that many people even listening to this. So whatever, 1% of you 60 plus year olds, hope you're enjoying it. But that's also just on Anchor. That actually might even just be Spotify. Yeah, that's just on Spotify. Let's see what it is on YouTube. Okay, here we go. So on YouTube, if you're watching this as a YouTube video, 2.7% of you are 13 through 17. 54.3% of you are 18 through 24. That's me. That's me just watching my own videos in like a million different private browsers. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Okay. 25.3% are 25 through 34. 3.5% are 35 through 44. 3.3% are 45 through 54. 4.6%, ooh, little jump there, are 55 through 64. And 6.3% are 65 plus. 6.3%. We've got all the 65-year-olds up in here. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. And like a giant majority of you are female. In the biggest range, which is 18 to 24, which is 54.3%, 51.6% of you are female, and 2.7% of you are male. That's cool though. Thanks, guys. I feel like literally the 2.7% is just like Reese. So, hey, thanks for joining. Love you. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for this fine hour, or however long it was. I feel like it's been an hour. I don't even know. I love you guys a lot. Thank you for enjoying my rant. If you enjoyed it, or if you endured it, thank you for enduring it. I love you guys a lot, and I look forward to talking to you / ranting to you / rambling with you next week. I will see you next time. Bye.